a happy new year for some stocks. I just look today. You've got Ross, TJ Maxx, Lowe's, Estee Lauder. There are some retailers that are doing extremely well. What's wrong with this group of dogs?
It's a really bifurcated market right now, and I think there are, to your point, some companies that are doing quite well. I think the high PE stocks actually outperformed in 2019 versus the low PE stocks. So I don't think it's a time for buying off the clearance rack. I think it's much like the clearance rack, the regular clearance rack. Sometimes it's there for a reason.
Why not? Do you think that there's no turning these big ships around?
I think there are a couple of them, but I think you have to be really selective. Nordstrom is one that I think might be somewhat interesting. I think they have strategies to turn things around. But for the most part, department stores, mall-based apparel stores, very difficult places to be.
All right, Oliver, what about you? Where do you see opportunities in retailers that have just been beaten up?
Yeah, what we're excited about is Target. We like the broadline retailers. The Target PE multiple is about 17 times, and Walmart's in the 20s. So on a PE basis, we like Target, and we like Target relative to the EPS growth they can generate, as well as drive up and curbside pickup. We agree the mall, apparel, it's been a tough place to be. And bifurcation is also playing out in that we like value. What are some great value retailers? The off-price sector is very good, as well as Costco, because customers are looking for bargains. They're also looking for groceries, and they need food. Grocery outlet is another one to consider as well. But cautious, beware on clothing, the mall, store closures ahead. Unfortunately, department stores are tougher. Yeah. That being said, Nordstrom is a business model for the future. They've been doing a good job with their local market strategy, as well as online penetration being 30%.
So you and Liz kind of agree on JW Nordstrom. Oliver, let me just turn to you, and then maybe also you, Liz. Though the stocks are not performing well in light of these numbers, I guess I would count myself among those who was a little bit surprised that Macy's was just basically flat year over year in sales, and Kohl's the same, just down 0.2%. Am I wrong to feel that way?
Yeah, what I would say is investors are really trying to understand what's the long term. How do these concepts appeal to a new generation of shoppers? And the new Gen Z shopper is really shopping quite differently. She loves TJ Maxx and others, and she also doesn't necessarily shop by brand. So rethinking retail and what retail should look like is a concern in terms of the valuations of these companies and what they should do. In particular, Macy's may need to close an incremental number of stores, and Kohl's needs better women's apparel. So there's a long-term picture here in terms of valuation.
But
that being said,
you say that, but you look at Ross and TJ Maxx, and I love a bargain. So I'm in there, right? I'm going through the racks. A lot of times what I'm finding is bargains at Kohl's, too. I would put that in with discounters. And Liz, what happened? They made this. I thought that they were doing this big innovation by saying, hey, if you've got Amazon stuff you need to ship back, come in. We're going to increase foot traffic. Did it just not pay off?
It didn't pay off. What they really need to do, to Oliver's point, is see their women's business turn. So their women's business was disappointing. I think the Amazon return piece of things is working to drive qualified footsteps into the doors, but they're not converting in the women's department, and it's very difficult to get to turn Kohl's without turning the women's business. And so while they had relatively flattish sales, Kohl's and Macy's, you didn't see the earnings flow through. Now, Macy's didn't give an earnings update, but Kohl's did, and it's at the bottom of the range.
I've got another suggestion for Kohl's, and I go to Kohl's to buy clothes for my 14-year-old son because I think they have good, attractively priced, Oliver, you jump in here as well as Liz, attractively priced items for that age bracket. But when I see the lines at checkout as long as they are at Kohl's, I go, you've got to throw more people at this and move me through the store faster. Fair point?
Well,
yeah, you're bringing great points about the future of retail and cashless checkout, and also a new generation of shoppers doesn't even like to see humans sometimes. So rethinking the store experience and driving down that friction are big long-term opportunities with Amazon Go and curbside pickup, having your goods there available. But Kohl's has made a lot of strides in terms of buy online, pickup in store. They also have a very data-driven loyalty program, so you have to give them some credit for what they're doing with experimenting and innovating. But it's still early innings, and don't forget about re-commerce and subscription models. and how much less expensive a used good can be too. That's what we're seeing happen as well.
I love that idea, Oliver, of giving me the scanner. Give me the scanner at that store, and I'll go in there. If I can take my stuff, scan it, bag it, and get the hell out quickly, as I do at CVS increasingly, Liz.
But it's really about making that store experience as convenient and frictionless, to Oliver's point, as it possibly can be. And that's why we see retailers like Target doing so well with buy online, pick up in store, and the curbside pickup is just, it's phenomenal. And it's also a lot lower cost transaction than fulfilling an e-commerce order.
Can we talk a little bit about Bed Bath & Beyond? I mean, this stock is just taking it on the chin. Oliver, what's going on with this particular retailer?
Yeah, I think in general in the home section, you really need to have extremely good differentiation. So to be able to compare prices across online, offline, everything's available at all people at all times. So it's about being competitive and also very differentiated and experiential in the in-store process. Also, with the new generation of shoppers, shoppers like a certain degree of curation as well to help. But I'm sure Liz has a lot of thoughts on this stock as well.
Well, I'll borrow from Oliver and say, you know, mobile is the new mall. And extending that thought, with Bed Bath, they've always benefited from having just a really robust in-store assortment. And now Endless Aisle has replaced that in terms of being able to fulfill as many things as possible for the consumer. A customer doesn't really want a store that's chock full with every option and very difficult to shop. They're trying to execute this turnaround. They've obviously got a change in management, and I think they have a good shot at it, but turnarounds are tough.
Do you see this as a buying opportunity then to jump in?
I wouldn't, particularly when you see a company kind of removing guidance. I think that we probably have a little bit more pain before it becomes a strong investable story.